Hi everyone, welcome to another Procreate tutorial. This is the drawing that we will be completing in today's video. If you are new here, I mainly post Procreate tutorials, so if that is something you are interested in, go ahead and subscribe. I also offer extra tutorials available over on Patreon. That is linked in the description below if you'd like to check that out. But before we get started, the only thing that you will need to do is download the color palette. I have it linked in the description below. It's totally free to download. Just open up the file that downloads on your iPad and it will automatically pop into Procreate so that you can use the same colors as you follow along with the video today. Other than that, you don't need any special brushes or anything, so I will just post the canvas dimensions, color profile, and layers needed on the screen and in the description below so that you can use those to set up your canvas. So take a minute to get everything ready and then come back and we will get started. Okay, this is the color palette that we will be working with today. So let's just go ahead and get started. The first thing that we will do is set our background color. To do so, we will just go to our layer menu, click on this background color layer at the bottom to open up our color selector and select the first color on the first row of the color palette to fill it in with this color. Okay, then let's just go back to our layer menu, make sure we're on layer 1 here, and we are just going to jump straight into drawing our cat, and then we will draw everything else kind of around him. So on layer 1, we will grab the second color on the top row. We are going to grab the monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. Let's go ahead and just set it to like 30%. Okay, and we're just going to draw him like roughly in the center here. We can move him around and resize him afterwards to get, room for our pumpkin and our other little pieces. So we'll just kind of draw him right in the center here. So we're going to start with his head, which is going to be a kind of sideways oval. It's going to be tilting this way just a little bit. So down on the left side. So we'll just draw kind of a nice oval shape like this. Hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth. And then you can just click this edit ellipse button at the top to adjust it. This is way too skinny from top to bottom. I want it a lot closer to a circle shape. Maybe more so like this. Again, just slightly tilted down on the left side. And then we can go ahead and fill that in. Okay. And we're just going to keep drawing. We're going to draw it all on the same layer. So I'm just going to grab my arrow tool on uniform. I'm going to downsize it just a little bit. To start, it just got a little too big right off the bat. So just there is good. But we're going to draw all the rest of it on the same layer. So let's just draw its ears next. So on the top of each side of its head. So I'm going to start right off the side here. I'm not going to draw them off like this or anything. We're going to draw it straight from the side. So just right here where it kind of curves, I'm just going to follow the curve and then make a nice ear like that. Fill it in. Same thing on the other side, just kind of follow the curve up and then down to a point to make 2 triangles. Okay, and those are his ears. So then now for the body, we are just going to go kind of along the side of his head here on the left and start there. So we'll just kind of curve down like this from the left side. We'll kind of curve out to create like its bottom. Like this. And then across the bottom, it's just going to kind of curve pretty much straight across the bottom. And then on the right side here, we're going to curve up into like a tail. Kind of round that at the end for the tail shape. Kind of bring it back towards the body like this. Okay, so that's like the left side of his body, the tail, and then for the right side, we are just going to do a very similar thing. So on the right side of his head here, just kind of come off. And then again, we'll kind of round it a little bit into like where the tail is. So this is all just one shape. We'll add a few lines to kind of create some distinction in a moment. But for now, it's all just going to kind of connect together like this. And then go ahead and fill that in. Fill in any extra areas that you might have. Like I do these little gaps where I kind of went over it multiple times. And then you can also just kind of smooth things out as you go as well. So like the bottom here, we want it to be pretty flat, but it doesn't have to be quite so flat like this. I might kind of round it a little bit more. I might make the tail even like a little bit longer and kind of like smaller at the tip. Okay, so then that is his body for now. Now you can kind of see how it looks and do any other adjusting. I like the side of his body on the right side. On the left side here, it's like a little too like curved right here. We want it to curve a little bit, but this is maybe a little too much. I might just kind of make this a little thicker. Kind of re-go into this bottom area. Something like this. Okay, so that is our cat. We're going to add all the details now to make it look, you know, more like a cat. So its face, its spots, the lines that I talked about that will kind of help us distinguish between its head and its like front paws and its tail and everything. Okay, so then next to add the lines, we will go to the layer menu, click to add a new layer, click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Click the N on this layer and drag it up to multiply. Okay, then we are going to grab this fourth color on the top row of the color palette. Same monoline brush at 30%. And let's just first go around the head. So on the bottom of the head area here, kind of right where it curves in, we're just going to kind of follow those lines underneath the jaw to just kind of distinguish the head a little bit further. So just a little bit in on the left side and then a little bit in on the right side as well. So something just kind of like that. Nothing too crazy there. And then we are going to also create where its tail is. So I'm going to turn my canvas here and just again, like right where the tail meets the body, I'm just going to follow that line in a little ways, not all the way to the other side of his body, but just kind of maybe right about there, maybe a little bit further, maybe right there. Okay, and then we just kind of want to make the illusion of him having like front arms, but then his paws are going to be hidden behind his tail. So like his tail is wrapped in front of them. So to do so, we will start on the left side here towards the edge of his body. I will first kind of curve and then go into more of a straight up and down line until we meet with our tail line. Then a little bit to the right of that, I will just make a straight line that starts a little bit shorter, like so. Hold that down until it turns perfectly straight. And then we'll just kind of mirror that on the other side. So then on the right side here, same thing. I'll start at roughly the same spot, curve, and then down to the tail line. And then same thing on the inside, making another shorter, just straight line. Okay, and then that kind of completes that part. So now we can kind of see more distinction in his body. Okay, now we'll add these spots to him, and then we'll add his face and ears. So first for the spots, we will go back to his regular body layer, click on it, and turn on alpha lock so we only draw within this shape. Now we're going to draw his spots on the same layer. We will grab the next color in line, the third one on the top row, and we're just going to make some really nice smooth brush strokes to make these spots. So let's start on his head. I'm going to make like the left side of his face this darker color. So I'm just going to start kind of towards the top of his head, just making a nice kind of shape like this going off, fill in the left side of it. If yours overfills like this, just undo it, redo the fill, and then hold your pen down on the screen and slide to the left to lower the threshold. If you don't quite get it far enough, go ahead and try again until you just fill in that one area. Okay, we'll do the same thing. Let's do like the right side of his body. We'll make like a little kind of wavy spot. Fill that in. Maybe kind of a little just like single spot down here. And maybe another spot on his tail. Like so. So just do as many of those as you would like. And then we will move on to his face now. So for his face, we will turn on Symmetry at first, and then we'll tilt it and move it into the right position. So to draw his face on Symmetry, let's go to our layer menu. We will add a new layer above our clipping mask layer. We'll go to our gear icon under Canvas, click to turn on the drawing guide, click Edit Drawing Guide, select Symmetry, and you can move the line a little bit if you want to. I might just move it to the right just a little bit so it's a little closer to the center of his face. But again, we can move it and tilt it and stuff later, but that might just kind of help. So go ahead and move that if you would like to, and then click Done. On our layer menu, let's just make sure this new layer that we're on at the top says Assisted. If it does not, just click on it and turn on Drawing Assist. That just means Symmetry is active on this layer. And we are going to start with this black color, the 6th one on the top row. Same brush, same size. Okay, so just we'll kind of zoom in here, and again, we'll draw our face straight at first, and then we'll move it. So I'm just going to start a little ways from the symmetry line, draw a nice circle shape, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth, and then touch your finger on the screen to make a perfect circle. Set a good, just pretty small size. And then if you need to move it around or anything, you'll need to click the circle button at the top to move it around, but just a good amount of ways from our symmetry line like this is good. A good amount of room in between them, and then go ahead and fill them in. Then up and to the right of our right eye, we'll make a little eyebrow, a very small oval shape. So draw that, hold it down. Again, click this Edit Ellipse button at the top if you need to, and you can adjust the size and the placement. I have them tilted just the teeniest little bit, like an angle like this. Go ahead and fill those in if necessary. And then for his nose, just a little ways, down from his eyeball here, we'll start right on the symmetry line. To the right of it, just a teeny bit. Draw a line horizontally to the center, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth, and then touch your finger on the screen to make it perfectly horizontal. Set that however big you would like it, and then we will just connect them across the bottom. Same thing, draw a line towards the center now to create a triangle shape, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth, and then fill it in. Okay, and then on the same layer, we will draw his cheeks. So we will grab the next color in line, the 7th one on the top row, and we will just start, kind of right below his eye here. Draw a nice good oval shape, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth. Click the Edit Ellipse button and adjust it. I don't want them that crazy. Pretty straight across, maybe even like slightly tilted down is okay. Like down into the right on the right side here. And then go ahead and fill those in. Okay, and then lastly is the whiskers. So same layer, we're just going to switch right back to our black color, the 6th one on the top row. We'll lower the brush size to like 10%. And this is what we'll use to draw the whiskers. So just kind of starting maybe right around here, in between his eye and his cheek. We'll start and draw our top one. So we'll just draw a nice quick line going out and to the right. We'll go down a little bit and make a little bit longer one, maybe not quite that long, but just draw real quick to get a nice quick line. And you can hold them down if you would like to. That is also fine. Okay, that one looks good. And then my last one will be pretty short. Always takes me a while to get it right. Okay, that looks pretty good. So then that is it for our face. So now we just need to move it into place. So with our arrow tool on uniform, we will first just use this green button to rotate it to the left a little bit so that it kind of matches up better with our face, and then just place it here nicely. Resize it if you need to, either up or down, but just place it nicely in here where it looks pretty even. Looks pretty centered on our head and looks to be angled properly. Then lastly for our cat, we're just going to draw the inner parts of his ear. So we'll just do that on another new layer. So go to our layer menu, add a new layer, grab the 5th color on the top row of the color palette. And then same brush, we will just zoom in here and we'll just make some little triangles inside its ears. So starting a little bit in, I'll just kind of make a just general triangle. You can hold them all down if you would like, or I'll just kind of try to draw quicker to draw them smoother, kind of smooth them out as I go. Doesn't have to be too perfect or anything. And then we'll do the same on the other side. that completes our cute cat. So now we can draw the rest of our picture kind of around him. But let's first go to our layer menu and group these layers together. So we won't snap them all together on the same layer, but just so that we can move the cat around all together, we'll group the layers. So start on the top layer, slide right on the other 3 layers so they're all selected. Click group, and this is now our group with our cat on it. So I'm just going to click this arrow button to minimize it, but that is our cat. So then when we click our arrow tool on uniform, we can move him around and resize him all together. So I'm just going to move him around. I'm going to resize him. I want a little bit of room underneath him on the bottom to draw a shadow. And then we want a good amount of room kind of all around him. We're going to draw some leaves, some floating leaves, some dots, and then the pumpkin to the left of him. So I might set him right about here, a little to the right, on my canvas so that we have room for the pumpkin on the left of him. So maybe about right here. We can, of course, resize some more later and do some more moving around, but maybe here is good for now. So I will leave him there, and now we will go into our pumpkin. So on our layer menu, let's add a new layer. Let's drag it below our cat layers, right there. We will grab the first color on the second row of our color palette. Same monoline brush, let's bring it back up to 30%. Okay, another thing we can do real quick is shut off our symmetry line. We don't need that anymore. So under the gear icon, just click to under canvas, click to turn off the drawing guide so we don't have to look at it anymore. So now for our pumpkin, he's just going to be down and to the left of our cat here. So I'm going to draw the middle part just kind of right around the cat's bottom area, and then we'll draw the 2 sides of the pumpkin. So an oval in the middle and then an oval on each side. So starting in the middle here for our oval, we'll just draw a nice big oval, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth, and then click this edit ellipse button at the top if you would like to adjust it. So I'm just going to have it go about up as far as like our cat's neck kind of area here, like where the neck starts. Maybe about right there. I'll have the bottom be roughly in line with the bottom of my cat. Like so. Make it a little bit wider if you need to. Mine was kind of skinny to start. And then just make it roughly vertical. And then we can go ahead and fill it in. Then on the same layer, we'll just start the next side of it. So on the left side here, just like on this top left corner of my first oval, I will draw another kind of ellipse shape, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth, and then click edit at the top. Adjust it a little bit, so we want the top of it to be a little bit lower than our middle piece. But then otherwise it can be roughly the same all the way around, like same size, sticking out here, same roughly the same spot on the bottom, and then fill that in. And then we'll do the same thing on the right side, even though we can't see all of it, we'll just kind of mirror that same thing that we did on the left. So starting right about here, I'll draw another shape all the way through, hold it down, click edit, and then just kind of adjust whatever you can see to be roughly the same as that one was. So I might even see the littlest bit on the bottom here. And then go ahead and fill that in. Okay, so then there's our pumpkin. If you click the arrow tool, you can kind of move it out and see it too. So move it around if you need to, resize it if you need to. I'm just going to kind of have it, kind of line up right about here with my cat. Might make it a little bit bigger. You can also kind of adjust it like on freeform if you want it to be taller or wider, one or the other, you can do that as well. But just set that to a good size. Okay, now we'll add all the details to the pumpkin and then we'll make the stem. So to add the details to the pumpkin, on our layer menu here, find our pumpkin layer, click on it, turn on alpha lock, grab the next color in line, the second one on the second row, and same brush at 30%, and we are going to create with this darker color just the shadows in between the ovals. So on the left side here, kind of right where this indent starts, I'll just draw a curved line, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth. Mine turned into a line. I'll just click this line button at the top and hopefully it'll give me the arc option. It does. If not, just redraw your arc so it hopefully recognizes it. But just kind of set that nicely there in between like our 2 crevices here so they kind of make a nice shadow there. We'll do the same thing on this other side. Nice arc shape. Hold it down, adjust it. Something like that. Okay, and then same layer, we're just going to switch our color to the third color on the second row, this lighter color now. And we are going to again drop the size of our brush now to 10%. And we are just going to create some little kind of like vertical-ish lines all over our pumpkin. So I'll just start on this left area and we'll just kind of create some lines. They can kind of go like in the same direction as the pumpkin, so they can curve a little bit with that. I'm not bringing them all the way to the edge or like going off the edge, just inside. So I'll just make some there, then we'll do some in the middle, more straight up and down. I'm not holding them down, I'm just drawing them pretty quickly, kind of varying sizes. And then same thing on the right side, anything that we can see anyway, I'll add a little bit there. So just kind of do a good amount of that on our pumpkin. And then lastly, we will draw the stem. So for our stem, we'll go to our layer menu, add a new layer, drag it below our pumpkin layer, so we're behind it. Grab the next color and line the fourth one on the second row. Same brush, we can stick with the same size, 10%. And we're just going to zoom in on the top of the pumpkin here. So on this middle area, I'm going to start a little bit to the left of what would be like the center. I'll draw a nice curved line going up and to the right, hold it down till it turns perfectly smooth, adjust it if you need to. Then we'll just draw like a straight line across the top, going down and to the right a little bit. Pretty small. And then starting at that point, we'll draw down into the right. We'll curve in that same way, hold it down, click the edit arc button if you need to just make sure the corners line up nicely. And then we just want it to get thicker at the base than at the tip. Like so, even just a little bit thicker is fine. Okay, back to our pen, we'll just kind of connect across the bottom so we can fill this in. Then if you need to do any adjusting, go ahead and do so. I might resize mine a little bit. It's a little small, I might just make it a little bit bigger. You can also do freeform if you want it to be just wider or taller. You can even use warp if you want to kind of really adjust some pieces of it if you need to. But I will put it about there, and then that looks good for my pumpkin. Okay, next up we're going to start laying down some of our main leaf branches. So we're going to have 3 of our big yellow leaf branches. We're going to have 3 of our smaller orange leaf branches, and then we're going to have just some floating kind of reddish orangish leaves as well. So we'll lay down our bigger yellow leaves first to kind of fill in a majority of our space, and then we'll add everything else around it. So we're going to use this same color, same size, the 10%. We're just going to add a new layer. It's still going to be behind our cat, so just right above our pumpkin layer, add a new layer there, so we're still behind our cat group. Okay. And again, we will first just kind of draw our stem. So I'm going to start on like the right side here, kind of just roughly in the middle of his body, and I'm just going to make a nice kind of curved line going out like this. It's just slightly curved. And then coming off of it, we're going to have 2 on each side. So I'm just going to start like towards the top, make a little curved line going this way. Same spot, curved line going the other way. Just making sure there's a good amount of room in between here. So we're going to draw like a leaf here and then a leaf here. So we just don't want these to be too close together where like our leaves would be intersecting. So just, don't draw your lines like this. That would be too close together to have 2 leaves. So just leave a good amount of space in between them like so. And then we'll just go down and make another set of stems coming off. Like so. So that's our first kind of branch of leaves. And then we'll maybe do another one kind of coming off like the top left side of his head. So again, just kind of a curved line or curved-ish line. It doesn't have to be super curved, just a teeny tiny bit. And then a few coming off of that. Like so. Okay, and then we'll do another one coming off of the left side of the pumpkin. I might kind of curve it this way. But we also want to be behind our pumpkin layers. So on our layer menu, just drag this new layer down below our pumpkin layers. That is what I meant to do. Okay, so right there is good, and then that is a good start to my stem. It might be a little too long and going out too far. I just might use my selection tool on freehand. I might select around it and just kind of move it in a little bit so it's not sticking out quite so far. Okay, and then we'll do our lines off of it on each side. Okay, and now that those are laid down, we'll add our leaves to them. So to do that, we'll go to our layer menu, add a new layer, drag our new layer behind our stem layer, so it should be at the very bottom. We'll grab the first color on the last row of the color palette, this yellow color, same brush, same size. So again, I'll start on the right side here, and we'll just draw the top one first. So I'm just going to start kind of at the base of the stem, but in a little bit so that our stem kind of covers up like maybe half of our leaf. So just down on the stem, but right on the stem in the center. And I'm just going to draw out, in. From there, we'll draw kind of out at that angle, back at that same angle, and then again like out and in. So a lot of just like curved lines to make up this leaf shape, fill it in. Okay, and we'll just do that for each one now. So for the next one here, I'll just start on the stem, go out, in, out, in, out, in, fill it in. Okay, so that is our first set of leaves. So now we just kind of want to make them all roughly similar sizes. Even these 5 right here look good, except this first one's really big. So since they are on their own layer and there's space in between them, we can use our selection tool on freehand. We can select just around this one. And then on uniform, I'll just downsize it a little bit so it kind of matches the others better. And then you can even like move it around. You can rotate them. So if you ever need to adjust any of them, that's how you can do so. But we will just move right along to this next one now. Okay, so then like this side here, see we kind of like don't have a ton of room. So then that one ends up being too small. So I might select around this top one and just move it up a little bit so that we create a little bit more room. So the stem is still kind of going over it, but not as much, but that's okay so that we have room for this next one. Okay. Okay, that looks good. They look similar to each other in size. So we'll do this last one now. I feel like I always draw this first one so big. So again, I feel like this one just needs to be like moved a little. Maybe I'll just tilt it that way so that I create a little more room for this one. Okay, so then we'll take one more look at that. Like this one ended up being really small. I'm just going to make it bigger without running into that other one. Just kind of trying to even out some of their sizes. Okay, so that looks great. So now we are going to add some spots to them. So to do so, we will go to our layer menu on this layer with our yellow leaves on it, click on it and turn on alpha lock. Grab the second color on the last row of the color palette, the slightly darker version of the one that we were just using. Same monoline brush, but let's increase the size quite a bit to like 50%. Because now we're just going to add some blobs to them. So on each one here, I'm just going to add like, some can just be like dots. Others you can just do like blobs around the edges. You can do blobs on the inside. Just a few per leaf. So like some going off the edge, some in the center, you know, varying sizes, varying kind of whatever. Okay, and then once we've done each leaf, just a little bit, we are going to move on now to our next set of leaves. So this kind of smaller orange leaf stems. So we'll just do the same thing. We'll add another new layer right above these two layers we were just on, still underneath our pumpkin layers. We will grab the next color in line, the third one on the second row, same brush. We will again downsize our brush to 10%. And now we'll make more leaves. So we'll again just start with the stems first. So I'm going to start kind of lower on my cat here. Just create another kind of curved line going out like this. I might start kind of by its head here and draw another one going like up and up this way more so. Slightly curved, but just drawing them pretty quick so they're nice and smooth. Not too close to any of our yellow leaves, but you know, we don't want them overlapping necessarily, but we still just want to fill out a good amount of room. So maybe something like that, and then maybe we'll do one more small one kind of down here. Just to kind of finish it off, and then we'll add some floating leaves as well, so those can kind of fill in like some of these other spots. So again, just 3 of them wherever you would like to place them. We will again go to our layer menu, add a new layer, drag our new layer behind our stem layer that we just created. Grab the next color in line, the 4th color on the last row, and we will now draw our leaves. So same brush, same size, and this time we're going to draw some really small, just kind of like teardrop shaped leaves or just like oval shaped leaves. So at the top here on the stem, I'm just going to start at the very, very tippy top, draw like a teardrop shape. That's going to be the start of our leaves, and then down the left side we'll do the same thing. So just kind of like little teardrops, trying to make them all roughly the same size, spaced pretty evenly till we get to the bottom where we can't see anymore, and then we'll just mirror them on the right side, so on the same spot each time. Like so. Next one, we'll start with the top one. And then like here, we might not see all of it, but there would be one here, even though we can't see like what's on the left side. I'll add that last one there. Okay, and the last one. Okay, that is it for that one. And now we will draw our last leaves to kind of fill everything out. So to do so, we'll go to our layer menu. Let's go ahead and add a layer above all of our layers so far, except for our pumpkin and our cats. So all of our other stem layers, we'll add one right in there. Grab the next color and line the fifth one on the last row. Same brush, we'll just stick on the same size even. And now we're just going to draw some kind of floating leaves. So like for example, we will just draw a nice almond shape leaves all over. So just a little shape like this, 2 curved lines, fill it in. So just kind of to fill in some space. So like I'll put one there. Maybe we'll do like one here. I'm gonna just draw the outlines first and then we'll fill them in all at once. So I'll show you how to do that, but I'm not going too close to the edges. We're just kind of creating like a little, I'm not going to say circle, but just like an inner picture. We're not like, I'm not drawing like all the way up here and down here or anything. We're just going to kind of draw just roughly around our picture. We might even end up downsizing it a little bit so it's a little bit more inner, picture. So, but, so just draw kind of like as far out as like some of your leaves go. So then like I'll just draw one more like maybe here. Make sure they're always connected and there's no gaps so that when we go to fill them in, they fill in. So then like I'll draw another one maybe up here to just kind of, make the top part of that picture. We'll draw some in here. And it's okay if you have a little bit more open space. We're going to end up adding some dots as well to just kind of fill everything else out. So we don't want to go like too crazy. Filling in every little gap. We just kind of want a nice little like array of these. Okay, so that looks pretty good. It's a little heavier on the left side, which is understandable because my cat kind of takes up a good amount of the picture. But I might grab my selection tool around this one and move it in a little bit more so that I can add like one more here without it being too crazy. Okay, so that looks good. Now we'll just go to fill them in. So I will fill in one, then I will click this continue filling button at the top, and then we can tap into each of the others to fill them in also instead of dragging and dropping each time. Okay, make sure you like how that all looks, and then we are going to just go to our layer menu on this layer with all of our leaves on it, click on it and turn on alpha lock, and then we'll grab our darker color, the last one on the last row here, 6th in line, same brush at 10%, and now we're just going to draw on our leaves just the very typical like leaf pattern. So one line down the middle, and then I think we'll just do 2 on each sides going in like, whatever direction the leaf is facing. So this one will face this way. Maybe this one we'll decide is like facing downwards. So they can all be kind of facing different directions since they're floating. So just kind of whatever direction you choose for them. Okay, and then once those have all been detailed, we will go through, and the final thing we're going to do is add a shadow under the cat and then some dots kind of to fill everything else in. And then if necessary, we can even downsize some stuff. So make sure you like the way everything's looking so far. Move anything around that you need to. Otherwise, we are just going to add our shadow and our dots, and then if we need to resize, we will. So first, our shadow, we will draw that at the very bottom of everything. So add a new layer, drag it to the very, very, very bottom of our layer menu, right above our background color layer. We are going to grab the 8th color on the top row of the color palette. So right next to our, what was our cheek color? This lighter one here, 8th in line. Same brush at 10% is fine. We are going to draw an oval around the bottom. So just draw a nice good oval shape, hold it down until it turns perfectly smooth, and then this time we are going to touch our finger on the screen to make it perfectly horizontal. So if you drew it too close to a circle, it'll try to snap to a circle, so just redraw it a little closer to an oval shape. We just want to make sure we can snap it to horizontal, set it to just a good size. We can resize it here in a second, so just set a solid size, fill it in. Okay, then with our arrow tool on uniform or freeform, we can move it. So we can move it around here, just kind of place it nicely under our cat and our pumpkin. But then on freeform or uniform, if you want to resize it at all, I might make mine a little skinnier from left to right, so it's just a little bit more just right under them. Like so. But then feel free to resize it from top to bottom too if you need to make it a little skinnier. Just kind of whatever you would like to do. I might move mine up a teeny bit. Like so. Okay. Then for our dots to kind of fill out the rest of our picture, let's go to our layer menu, add a new layer. We will first grab this lighter color at the very end of the top row of our color palette, 10th in line. Same monoline brush, let's set the size all the way to 100%. And we are going to just kind of tap around some dots in this lighter color, just kind of all over to kind of make some more filled in space in our picture. We're going to do one more set of dots, so don't fill in absolutely everything, but just a good amount. Kind of here and there. I wouldn't go underneath the cat's tail, maybe just to the tip of it. I maybe wouldn't even go underneath this leaf here, just to kind of keep it more in this upper region. Okay, so I did the light ones. Now we'll go through with the next color, which is going to be this 9th color in line. It's slightly darker than our background color. Same brush, same size, and we'll just kind of add some of these as well. So we did the light ones first because they're kind of the brighter ones. These ones are more muted, but they still help kind of fill out our picture better. So maybe something kind of like that. So like I said, we just kind of make a little, almost circle shape-ish, it's kind of flat on the top, but just a nice little just window of a picture, not going to the edges quite. So now that everything is done, that is it for our picture. I'm just going to resize everything and move it around a little bit. So I'm a little closer to the right side than the left side. And then I might just want to make everything just the teeniest bit smaller so it's a little more centralized. So to do that, since I like the way everything else looks and is placed, I'm just going to go to my layer menu, select all of my layers. So I'll start on my group. I'll select the whole group there. Slide right on every other layer that I have. Click my arrow tool, set it to uniform, downsize it a little bit, and then I'm just going to kind of center it here. So with snapping turned on in the bottom left, I can snap it to the center yellow vertical line here. That means I'm centered from left to right. So the edge of my picture is centered from left to right. And then I can also center it from top to bottom if I want, but I kind of like it a little closer to the bottom, just with my shadow being there. So I might just make it a little bit closer to the bottom, but still kind of centered on that vertical line. And again, I just have a nice kind of amount of my background all the way around without anything on it. And I like the way that looks. So that being said, that is it for our drawing today. So I hope you had fun. If you did, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more tutorials from me in the future. Again, if you would like to check out extra tutorials over on Patreon, that is linked in the description below. If you would like to share your drawing on Instagram, I would love to see it, so go ahead and post it and then tag me so that I can check it out. While you're there, go ahead and give me a follow so you can see what I'm working on next. Thanks for watching!